Phew, we got there in the end. Who knew? Who would have thought that just putting the ball straight in the box, beating the first man, and then having someone directly header it into the net would lead to a goal? This is your instant reaction to Aston Villa 1, Fulham 0. Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast, a successful Villa Park podcast. Instant reaction to Aston Villa 1, Fulham 0. And we were made to work very, very hard for it, especially towards the end of the game. But we got there in the end. We got the vital win that keeps us in the hunt for the top 5 Champions League race. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, help us on the road to 6,000 subscribers. The support over the last few days has been fantastic. So please keep supporting us. Like, subscribe, and get your comments and your thoughts on that game. It was a bit of a scrappy affair, a bit of a nervy affair. A game that Villa really should have put to bed, particularly with some of the chances in that second half, which we will get into. And also Fulham really did put us under some pressure and maybe could count themselves a little bit unlucky with some territory. They didn't really have too many clear-cut chances, but certainly had Villa at nerves at times. And so, yeah, it was one of those end of season games that there's quite a bit riding on it, that neither team wants to really make the mistake, but really both teams want to try and push on to win. We started the game. I was really surprised with the starting lineup. I mean, everyone was crying out for Tyrone Mings to start. Everyone was crying out for Donyell Marlon to start. And everyone was crying out for Ian Maatsen to start. And it was only Ian Maatsen that was put into the starting lineup that was any different to last week's game against Crystal Palace. So whether Unai Emery was like, look, you've got to go out there and show me what you can do in terms of a different type of performance. But yeah, it was Ian Maatsen that came in. So Emi Martinez in goal, Matty Cash right back, Ezri Konsa, Pau Torres at centre back, and Ian Maatsen at left back, Boubacar Kamara and Youri Tielemans as the midfield two, with Asensio in front of them, John McGinn, Morgan Rogers, and Ollie Watkins up top. And to be honest, Villa started off pretty well, quite controlled. Fulham didn't really, I guess, learn from how Crystal Palace approached it. They didn't stop us from playing through the middle, and there was quite a few, really nice bits of approach play. And you could kind of see Villa getting into the game more than anything. But they didn't really have too many clear-cut chances. But it was on 12 minutes that Villa forced a corner. We'd already had one before that McGinn had taken, and he just completely fluffed it and hit it into the first man. But the second one, it was kind of like second one from that side. It was a similar type of corner, but he just got a little bit more height on it, and they didn't follow Youri Tielemans' run, and an absolute bullet header that the goalkeeper couldn't keep out. Absolutely couldn't keep out. Leno couldn't keep out, and brilliant header, and Aston Villa go into the lead. And you think maybe that would settle us down, and we just start to play and flow from there. But to be honest, Fulham did start to sort of get used to how Villa were playing. They had some bits of possession, but it was only really through Aston Villa's maybe what would be the word, kind of casualness or maybe nerves at times, where we give the ball away one or two times and that would put us under pressure, but still no real shots on target. And that monkey on Aston Villa's back of conceding it after the first shot on target was going on longer and longer and longer because Fulham weren't really having any. It was only really an opportunity for Youri Tielemans towards the end of the half, which he produced a fantastic shot from 25 yards that the goalkeeper saved. A brilliant save from Leno to tip it round the post, but the referee didn't give a corner. And then it went up on the screen, which was quite a humorous moment where you could clearly see that the keeper saved it. And if they'd have scored after that from sort of a long goal kick and then maybe got through, then that would have been absolutely crazy. But It didn't, thankfully, and only really an Alex Iwobi shot right at the end of the first half, kind of straight into Martinez's hands, and that was it really for the first half. And you're kind of happy with that. Villa fairly steady, some really nice approach play. Rodgers getting involved, Watkins getting involved. John McGinn was at the heart of everything really in that first half. He was having a really good game on both sides against Tete and and Robinson was doing very, very well against both of them. But and he was sort of putting himself about. So it was kind of like more of the same in that second half if we could. The only, I guess, frustration was, and I thought Matty Cash had a pretty good game. I'll get onto that in a second. But he was still going down that right-hand side, but cutting back all of the time. And you could see the space was down that right-hand side for him to exploit. And right at the start of the second half, he really did that. He carried on his run down that right-hand side. And I think it was Rodgers that put him through. Brilliant pass. And you could see Ollie Watkins running through the middle. He plays an almost inch-perfect pass. Probably is an inch-perfect pass. And I don't know why Watkins didn't gamble more on getting it, but he maybe thought the defender was going to get a touch on it, and then it went under his foot when he was clearly in front of goal to put it in. And that was probably the chance to sort of really put it to bed, because as that half went on, you could see the tension rising in Villa. You could see maybe Fulham throwing caution to the wind a little bit more, and they had one or two efforts. I think Wilson had a header where he should have done better with. Jimenez was putting himself about, and they were making quite a few changes throughout that second half. Emile Smith-Rowe came on, Timothy Castagne came on, but you could still see Villa threatening sort of on the break. We were kind of keeping them contained and then threatening on the break. Ollie Watkins had another effort that was a good save from Leno. And then when we made the substitutes, Onana came on, did well. Ramsey came on. And then it was Luca Dean and Daniel Marlon that came on, and Watkins went off and Marlon went up front, where we really should have put the game to bed. I mean, Marlon had 2 or 3 really, really good chances. Another one where he went down the left-hand side, overhit the cross. It goes out to Morgan Rodgers, and him and Onana play a little pass together. Rodgers puts it across, and Marlon slides in, and the keeper saves it again, but a goal kick is given again. Another effort from Marlon where he takes it in the channel and blazes it over. Now, Daniel Marlon has one shot type, and that is blast. Now, maybe he needs to put a little bit more finesse into his finishes, because right towards the end of the game, when Villa were really holding on, and because Fulham had made all their substitutions, Harrison Reed had to go off, and Fulham had 10 men, and you wouldn't have thought it. You'd have thought that Villa were the team with 10 men and hanging on, but it was Fulham who were knocking the ball around. But Villa probably had the best move of that half, where some nice little passing, some patient passing between Onana and Kamara. He goes into Barkley. He lays it off to Ramsey. Ramsey slides it into Marlon. Beautiful first touch. And then he goes to just, again, he could just place it past the keeper, but he probably puts a little bit too much on it. I know he needs to get it past the goalkeeper, and the goalkeeper stands up well, but he puts too much on it, and it cannons off the underside of the bar and then bounces out. But thankfully, we didn't need any more goals, and we got that 1-0 victory, and that takes us level on points with Nottingham Forest, level on points with Chelsea on 60 points, 17 games unbeaten at home in the Premier League. Fantastic. Another clean sheet. The only, I guess, little blot on there is maybe we could have scored more goals, because we're on a +6 goal difference. Forest on a +12 goal difference. They've had a tough game against Crystal Palace away on Monday night. So to get a couple more goals would have been really ideal. But look, we can't complain at the 3 points. We can't complain at a clean sheet. Absolutely brilliant. And it's over to Forest. It's over to Chelsea. It's over to Newcastle to see how you can react to the pressure that is being applied, because this race is going to go right to the final game. I can feel it now. I can see it now. And look, there's going to be some nerves. There's going to be twists and turns along the way. We've got Bournemouth next week in the Premier League. We've got players that should be rested across the week and should be really firing and fit and ready to go. So yeah, really, really positive victory. I guess not the greatest of performances, but it's all about the 3 points right now. I thought strong performances from John McGinn in that first half. Tired a bit in the second half, obviously came off after 60 minutes. I thought Matty Cash was excellent all game. Maybe could have attacked that right-hand side a little bit more, particularly in the first half. But, you know, he had a tough game against Iwobi, but he did very well all game, I have to say. Youri Tielemans, absolutely fantastic. And Probably just shades it as man of the match for me over Matty Cash. Ian Maatson, I thought, was good for his time that he was on as well, and had a tough afternoon again, but coped well. But yeah, Youri Tielemans obviously gets the goal. And, the way he plays passes, the way he sees things, even if he makes a mistake, he's straight in and trying to win the ball back. And that was really, really pleasing to see. I thought Onana looked good when he came on. He's really is pushing for that starting position. And he does add something to our midfield. He really does. And I thought Luca Dean coped very well with the threat. It's more of a perceived threat of Adama Traore, because it summed up his time when he came on. He ran full pelt for a ball on the right-hand side and then goes to control it when he's right at the byline and ends up putting the ball out of play, which completely sums up Adama Traore, unfortunately. But yeah, Luca Dean did well when he came on. But yeah, I thought it was just a pretty standard performance. One interesting note was Unai Emery on the sideline. You could see how much the win meant to him. You could see him trying to get everything out of his players. And at one point, Ezri Konsa, he does this sometimes. He goes down and looks at the ref as if he wants a free kick and then moans about it when the referee doesn't give a free kick. He did it twice in this game. The second time, it could have really put us in trouble. I think it was Jimenez that was stronger than him. And he looks at the ref. Then he's complaining to the ref when they're on the attack. And we managed to clear it. And Unai Emery absolutely hammered Ezri Konsa. If I was Ezri Konsa, I would not have wanted to touch that ball. And I will not want to be in that dressing room with him right now. But look, it is thoroughly deserved. These games matter. Moments matter in games. And you can't have players throwing their arms up and looking at the ref as if to get a free kick. You could play to the whistle, and you've got to keep concentrating all the time. We can't have this going on in the game in our team. Absolutely no chance. We haven't got time for that. And fair play to Unai Emery for nipping it in the bud, because that is not what we want. We need our players on it for the last remaining games of the season. Anyway, that is it from me. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you agree? Youri Tielemans, man of the match. Matty Cash, good game. And one or two others, I guess, deserve a little bit of a shout out. John McGinn for that first half performance. Daniel Marlin, does he look sharp? Should he have scored? Ollie Watkins, what are your thoughts on him? Did he do enough? And Morgan Rogers I thought was solid as well in that game. Some really good moments. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. And what do you think for the remaining 3 games? How many more twists and turns to come? Are you confident we can win the remaining 3 games of the season? We'll be back with plenty more shows later on in the week. Possibly do a Lions Raw match reaction, reflecting on this game, talking tactics with Gareth, transfer talk, rumours show, you name it. We'll be back with it next week. So make sure you smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, and get your comments in below. Help us on the road to 6K. Great win for the boys. We can enjoy our weekends now. Thank you for watching. And as always, remember, we'll follow the Villa.